Hey everybody, welcome back to the Vibe Guide. I hope everyone's having a wonderful week as always. I'm feeling much better than I was last week. Last week I was like having all those weird physical things going on. I think it's kind of related to the Cancer new moon and like that theme is kind of letting go of a lot of things, very emotional energy. So I think a lot of it had to do with that. And I do feel like I've kind of turned the corner on feeling that way, just, like, feeling, like, super not myself. Um, so, yeah, I think and for this episode, I asked my spirit guides last night to kinda help me come up with something because like, I knew what I like, the subject matter in a way, but I was having trouble kind of putting it together because I am a very logical, analytical person, but I also obviously have this very deep spiritual side. And so in this podcast, it gives me an opportunity to mesh the two. And when they don't really mesh, like I know what I want to say from like my heart space, like I know the message that I want to get across and I know the intention, but I don't really know how to convey it. I get pretty frustrated. So last night I just kind of asked my spirit guides to help me figure that out and like to figure out what could be like an umbrella term for, this episode. And this morning it was so funny because most mornings I do like a tarot card pull and I do an oracle card pull. Um and this morning I just did what do I usually I just like check in and I'm like, what's the energy for today? Like kind of what I can like anticipate for the day. And sometimes it resonates more than others. And like this morning it didn't really resonate too much. And I was like, oh, okay, like, I've kind of been getting the same cards a lot, which is also a sign that, there are some things that you're kind of that I'm like need to move through. Like it keeps coming up, but I'm not really moving through it, right? I might be like skirting around it or not really going there with myself or whatever. So I've been getting kind of a lot of the same cards. And I decided this morning, I have a list of questions like on my phone that I like found on Pinterest or whatever. And because sometimes I don't really know what to ask tarot. Sometimes I'm like, I get a little, I'm like, I don't know, like I'm feeling off, but like I don't know what the question is to ask. And so this morning it came right in that list and it stood out to me. And it was like, where am I blocked? You know what I mean? Like ask tarot, like, show me the block. Where am I blocked? And funnily enough, I pulled this came right out of the deck, the Eight of Swords. It flew out of the deck. And I was like, okay, and that was also in the other, when I asked what the energy for today was, like, this was one of the cards, I pulled 5 or 6 cards, and in the group, it didn't really stand out to me, but when it flung out, when I asked specifically, like, "What is my block that I'm having?" Um, yeah, it was the Eight of Swords, and for those that don't know tarot, she is and if you're on YouTube, obviously you can see the card. If you're not, maybe you can Google it because I don't know that I can give the best description, but it's a woman, she's surrounded by swords, she's wrapped in some sort of bandage, and her eyes are blindfolded, and she's kind of like a prisoner a little bit, like, of her own devices. And so that's what this card means to me. It means that like I'm overthinking a lot. Swords represent our mind in tarot. And so she's surrounded by swords. She has wrapped herself up. She's blindfolded herself. She's blocked herself from seeing the way. She's blocked herself physically, mentally. So for me, it's a card of like overthinking, tapping into like paying attention too much to limiting beliefs, like holding yourself back is like what this card really signifies to me. And I thought, wow, like that is exactly what I'm feeling. And that's exactly what I wanted to get across in this podcast episode was limiting beliefs, like limiting beliefs. And the way it came up for me this week wasn't so straightforward, like per usual in my life. It can't just be like, "Hey, Caroline, check in with yourself and your limiting beliefs because it's starting to creep up on you." Like, no, it was like a scenario that happened. And then like it took me a couple days to really like digest it. And then I was like, wait, like, and then I had all these kind of epiphanies about it. So this card is very significant for that. And for it to come through today and for it to just come through so clearly, like, oh, well, that's the podcast topic, limiting beliefs. Like, that's what it is. Um, it's just again like another, little spiritual gift that I got. And I'm so thankful for my spirit guides because it really clarified so much for me. And so, yeah. And she's wrapped literally for me, you guys, she's wrapped in like toilet paper. You know what I mean? Like if you look at it. So I'm like, girl, break free. Just like take the bandage off and like break free. You know what I mean? It's just toilet paper. It's really not. I'm sure they're like, it's like cloth or whatever. But in my mind, I'm like, girl, it's just toilet paper. Just like move your arms. You're fine. So it's like, also, I just feel like it's like lighten up. Like, don't take it, just get out of your brain, get out of your head and like lighten up. Cause like when we get out of our head, that's the energy that comes. It's just like, damn, like we are really in there talking so negatively to ourselves and like being so mean to ourselves and having all these external things weigh us down mentally when it's like, girl, just rip the toilet paper off, like take the blindfold off. You're good. Like, we can be our own worst enemies. That's a lot of what that card means to me too. So I definitely resonated with that energy. And like I said, it's been a new moon in Cancer. I think it's a couple days ago now, but that energy still resonates and it's still, you can tap into it for the few days after and before probably. I don't know. I'm not like an astrology expert by any means. I just use what resonates with me and like what makes sense to me. And so um I definitely think the new moon brought up a lot of, like I said, like a lot of kind of deeper emotions for me, which is so annoying. I just feel like every time I turn around, it's like this deep dive. And I'm just like, I'm so tired of like doing a deep dive, really. And like sometimes I do feel like you can get too into it, like too much into like the healing of it all. And like you forget to just like live your life and have fun. And I kind of do feel like, but I don't know, it just comes in phases for me. And like sometimes I just really don't feel like my best. And I do feel like there's something that I'm going through to learn a lesson and to like get to the other side. But like recently, I feel like it's been like, quite a bit. So I'm like, okay, universe, like calm down. Like I just want to have fun. It's summertime. Like, can we just lighten the mood, And I do feel like that energy is coming. So I'm like, we're here. I've like kind of gotten to the other side of it. And like I hopefully, fingers crossed, like learned the lesson that I needed to learn. So um you guys know I shout out Christopher Witecki, my best friend put him in my life. And he really explains the astrology of like what's going on week by week. And he just explains it in such a down to earth way. And so I got so much clarity yesterday listening to his he's on YouTube and he does it every week, I believe. Yeah, every week. And just goes through like what's going on in the cosmos. And it just like, along with like this tarot card, like just gave me so much clarity yesterday. And so I just wanted to share a little bit. Like these are, like I'm getting it from him. I don't want to take away, this is like from him, not from me. But he said kind of this Cancer new moon energy is like definitely all about emotions and it's all about childhood and your family. And it's very much Cancer season. And he said, it's now time to get to the emotional care that your heart belongs with. And it's no longer acceptable to be in a situation that's not nurturing and caring. And he also makes the point of like, this isn't, you know, like let's cut everyone out and like, no, it's like you still have to be kind and remember like, everything is very much interconnected. Like it's all about the karma, you know what I mean? So it's just like if you're not vibing with someone anymore and like you kind of outgrown that relationship, that's totally fine. But like just remember that, there is someone else involved and you could potentially be really hurting them as well. Like, and also he makes the point, what else did I write down? Because I felt like this really resonated with me. Shoot, you guys, I wrote down so much because it all just really resonated with me. But oh, like when you start to do this, this higher work, right? And you get to, he talked about like a state of neutrality, like where we come from our homes and we come down and we choose our homes for a reason and we get the lessons in the childhood and all the things that we needed to. And then you get to a certain point as adult where you kind of heal a lot of that and you work through it and then you kind of get to a state of neutrality. So it's like you're good. Like you're good with like whatever happened in childhood, like you've kind of worked through that, like you forgive a lot of people, whatever, you forgive yourself, you heal yourself in that way, and then you get to this state of neutrality. And then when you get there, it's like you can elevate even higher. You know what I mean? Like you can really go there for yourself and like for this karmic lifetime. Like, you know what I mean? It's like such a feat to get to that neutrality, and it's such a proud feeling and a proud moment. But it's like, but we can even go even higher and we can, because this is also a side note, is like I do believe that everyone's purpose, and this comes from Eckhart Tolle or Tolle, however you say. He says, and I read this in his book, not The Power of Now, A New Earth, I think is what it's called or something. Anyways, he states that everyone's purpose on this planet, every single human being, their purpose, number one purpose, every single person is the same. You are here to become the most enlightened version of yourself, whatever that looks like for you. Like maybe you never even get to the state of neutrality of like forgiving and healing yourself to a certain level. And like it is a journey, but like, like for me, I do feel like I'm in that state of neutrality. I do feel like I've sorted out a lot of shit from my childhood and I've sorted out a lot of those relationships. And unfortunately, I don't speak to certain members of my family, but like that's okay. Like I do feel very, very, very clear and like very good about where I am in my life. And I know that like the next level is here and it's happening. And like a part of this podcast is like me just raising my own vibration and like elevating myself and enlightening myself as much as I can on this planet. So I do like very, very, very firmly believe that that is the case. And I believe that there are some people that will never get to that state. And there are other people that will truly work on it every single lifetime that they have. You know what I mean? Whether or not you're a human, you incarnate into a human body or not, like you incarnate into something else. Like we don't know. But I do believe that. And so I think that Christopher Witecki bringing that up for the new moon, it just like kind of clicked with me. And I was like, no, I definitely feel that energy. And I feel like the higher vibration you get, the more things start to fall off, right? And it's painful and it sucks. And typically it's relationships. And so I feel like the scenario that happened to me this week that really kind of culminated in me understanding really today that like, okay, like that situation happened, Caroline, to remind you of your limiting beliefs. It's reminding you of like your journey, what you're doing, you're vibrating at a higher frequency. And this is not to say like I'm the shit or whatever, even though I am, but it's about like some people just won't get there in this lifetime. And that is okay. But what's not okay is for them to be around you and pull you down and to be around you and say things to you that are uncalled for or that are mean or rude or at your expense. You know what I mean? Bullying you, making fun of you. Like those kinds of things. It's like when you outgrow a relationship, sometimes people feel that, right? On the other side, and they're like, wait, who is my friend? Where did my friend go? Like, she's saying a bunch of weird shit. Like, I don't know her anymore. And then they don't really know how to handle it because they know that they're not growing at that same level, right? They can feel it. Like people aren't dumb. Like, but what happens is they don't really know what to do with it. So they start to act out and it could show in the form of anger, or jealousy, or bitterness, or resentment, or it could be making fun of you at your expense and thinking they're being funny, but they're really making fun of you because they have their own wounds that they haven't healed. Like, and that's one of the messages that was Christopher Witecki brought up. It's like, this is the time when people are starting to raise their vibration, like collectively, and we are going through these things collectively. And sometimes it's painful and like things start to fall away. And that's okay. You know what I mean? Like you just have to trust truly in yourself, in your spirit, and know, and just keep following your heart. I can't like emphasize that enough because this is what your head gets you, this card. wrapped up in shit, surrounded by swords and like your own worst enemy and all in your brain all the time. It's like, get out of your head and follow your heart because every single time that's going to lead you to a higher frequency, like every single time. So I just felt like that was like a really important message to share and like what I learned from his sharing this week. And also, it was so much emphasis on home because it is cancer season and that's what cancer really is about, family and home and emotions and like, all those kinds of things. And cancer is such, it's not my energy, right? So like this season was like even, it was even harder for me, I think, because of all the family things that I have dealt with and I'm kind of moving through in like real time. A lot of that stuff came up for me. And so I got so much clarity this week on letting a lot of it go and understanding that like it's okay that I'm not moving forward with certain family members and friends. And the big message, the big take home for me, literally, no pun intended, is like, we are our home. Like, you are your home. It's not about these physical, external things. It's about like, if you're not good with yourself, you can't be good out in the world, right? And you're not going to be good if you're out in the world and people, you're not good. Like, everything's going to come into your home. You know what I'm saying? And like, I don't know if that makes any sense, but, like, you wouldn't allow everything in your physical home, but, like, sometimes as humans, we allow everything in our energetic home, like, we allow it all in, and that's not good, Like, you really have to protect your home, you have to protect yourself, and I feel like that's a part of cancer season, it's, like, clearing out that gunk, clearing out and letting go of a lot of shit that needs to move on from us and, like, spring cleaning, like, get all that stuff out of your home because this is the season of like meshing your intellect and your emotions together, like the two, the very much the balance of the two. And I feel like that's what happened to me this morning is like I asked my spirit guides for help. And then it was like as soon as I got out of my brain and I just allowed that help to come in, it was like, boom, there we go. This is the podcast topic. Like, this is exactly what I'm going through. It's called limiting beliefs. Like, I'm holding myself back, like so it's about balancing those 2 pieces, and you guys know I say that all the time, like balancing your heart and your mind, and I just feel like this Cancer new moon really like I don't know if anyone else was feeling that, some of my friends and people that I talked to definitely were, and so I just wanted to share that message and, like, let you guys know, like, you're not alone if, like, you're still feeling wonky, still feeling off, still going through some stuff, like, just ask for your help, like, ask your spirit guides for help, like, lean into the tools and whatever you turn to tap into your heart space, to tap into your intuition, to tap into something that's bigger than yourself, whatever that looks like for you, whatever tool you use. I just feel like that's really, really, really important for this cancer season. And then also allowing yourself to analytically trust it and like logically, you know, allowing those emotions and allowing that information to come in for you and also accepting it mentally. I feel like that's the balance. It's like, okay, I have these emotions, I have these feelings, like what's happening? And then like kind of put it together like a puzzle piece. I do feel like that's kind of this season's energy. And I feel like that's kind of where I'm at today. I was just like, "Oh." And it's such a good feeling, like, when your heart and your mind kinda come together and you're just like, "Oh, okay. It all makes sense." Like, it's just such a good feeling. Um, so I don't know, and I love that the way that it comes through for me. It's just like it reminds me that life really is magical and, like, it's really what we make it. Like, if you don't wanna believe in anything bigger than yourself, then that's fine, but I don't know, like, life's just so much more magical with all these extra tools and, you know, tapping into your heart space and your spirit guides, and I don't know, it's just so much more it's just a gentler way of living. Because I swear to God, like, before I would do all this and, like, knew all these tools and trusted myself on a spiritual level and, trusted my intuition, it's like I would have been stuck in this card you got years probably. I'm not even exaggerating. Years. Like beating myself up, belittling my own self, letting everyone else's 2 cents affect me. Like, I'm serious. It would have been it's just helped me so much, you guys. And like you guys know that like that's the whole point. And like why I do this is to remind people that sometimes the brain can be the enemy and like a massive enemy. So just remember that your heart is there and she wants to hear you and speak to you and connect with you. So allow it to happen. Um, so I wanted to chat about limiting beliefs specifically. I know a lot of people are very familiar with limiting beliefs. For me, that shit sneaks up on me like it used to be when I first started life coaching, it was very apparent to me that I had like massive imposter syndrome. And 95% of the people in my program that I did my coaching certification with, we all had that. It was like, and they had like an entire like couple hour, lesson just on limiting beliefs because I feel like especially people who go into this field of like light workers, healing, whatever, like I don't know why, but like we have the biggest sense of like, why are we doing this? What is happening? Like, we're weirdos. Like, who wants to be that weirdo in life? Like, it's not comfortable to like truly own your gifts that like society sometimes can say all these terrible, awful things about. And it's not easy. It's really not easy. And so for me, I kind of, you know, I worked through that in a sense and like I knew how to work through that and I learned in that coaching um what's it certification. I learned how to like navigate that and like but for some reason like sometimes it sneaks up on me and like I don't really see it and I don't feel it so much and then all of a sudden something will happen and it'll smack me in the face and I'm like, "Oh, well wait a minute. Why am I having such a strong emotional like reaction to that? Like what is that about?" Because this past week I had a friend who, I post my weekly like snippet of the podcast, which is also very hard for me to like pick something, and I do like because I have a whole entire like hour and 30 minutes sometimes of a podcast. And it's like, how do you pick a snippet that could potentially, resonate with someone and have them click in and like want to listen to your podcast? Like it's not easy. It's not like it's very difficult to like pick and choose. And that's not my fucking thing. Like this is all new to me. I'm not like a marketing person. I'm not like I'm doing all of this by myself, right? And so it's not easy. And every time I go to do it every week, I have a sense of like fear around it. And I have a sense of like, I don't even know what the word is. I'm always like, "Ugh," like, I wonder if this is even gonna like resonate. It's not about the likes. It's not about anything. I'm just like, I'm hoping when I put these things out, these little like quick snippets, that it's going to like pique someone's interest and like be like, oh, like that resonated with me, or that's funny, or like, oh, I like her energy, or whatever. Like, so that people will tap in and like get the messages that they need to hear. Like, and I trust and I know, and I ask my spirit guides all the time to send my podcast to people that need it and that need the messages. Like, and it's not out of like selfishness. It's out of like trying to reach people that really need the help because I've been there and like podcasts have saved my life, like truly brought me to my own intuitive life coach and like saved my life. So I know the power of, word of mouth and like people truly, showing you and telling you about different people in the world, especially when it comes to light workers and healers and things like that. So because it's not so standard, you know what I mean? And so every week I, do make the snippet or whatever, and I feel a little insecure about it. And this past week, it just matched up. I chatted about the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders and like the way that came through, which was just like so funny. And it just happened to match up with 4th of July because I was late getting the episode out. And so like I put that out there and I thought it was just like a little funny, a little punny, a little like whatever, whatever. And I had a friend that commented and just said something that was a little, I don't know what the intention was behind it. Intuitively, it felt kind of like an asshole comment. And I just kind of played it off and whatever. But it kind of sat with me for a couple days and it really kind of hurt my feelings. And it really made me go inward and was like, am I, you go down the spiral of like, what am I doing? Like, if one of my friends thinks I'm fucking weird for, like, saying what I'm saying, like, because I truly believe in what I'm saying, like, I don't I don't doubt what I'm saying, but, like, is the marketing and, like, all this extracurricular shit that comes along with doing this, like, my thing? No. So I do feel, like, insecure about that to a certain extent, and so to have, someone who I considered a friend just kind of, like, make fun of me, it did kinda strike a chord, and it really sent me down a spiral of, like, "Why am I doing this?" Like, it's not resonating. People think I'm just fucking weird, like, I don't know, the message is getting lost in, like, social media bullshit, like, I went down a spiral, like, I really did for a couple of days, and, it was deeper, it was also just, like, it's multi-layered because it's, like, this is supposed to be a friend, and, like, I don't like having that energy of, like, trying to read between the lines and, like, understand, are you making fun of me? Or, like, were you seriously asking me a question? Or, like, what was that intention? Like, you're supposed to be a friend, like, and I don't need yes people around me all the time, but, like, I also don't need assholes around me, And so I just kinda got that energy, and I do trust it, and I know exactly how it felt with me, and so it kind of was sad in a way that, like, I was like, "Oh, another friendship that I'm gonna have to reconsider," because I don't like that energy. I don't like it. And I don't really know that I'm in a space to even have a conversation with that person. I don't know if it's really worth it. I don't know if it would connect in. Like, I'm just was kind of at that point with, like, the friendship. So that was, like, kind of sad. And then today and yesterday, I just had a lot more clarity around it. And I felt like it is what it is about the friendship. Like, it just is what it is. But what was the deeper point for me was, like, this limiting beliefs. Like, it shouldn't matter what anyone says to me, right? It shouldn't. Things do upset us and they do hurt us. But I kind of, like, today and yesterday kind of got the energy of, like, you know what? Shout out to my fucking haters. Like, shout out, because without that, I wouldn't have learned the lesson. My limiting beliefs wouldn't have been brought to the surface, and I wouldn't have been able to work through it and get to the other side if I didn't have fucking haters hating. So, it's not the most pleasant experience, but, like, there was a lesson to be learned. There was growth that needed to happen within me. And not to mention, it's not gonna be the first or the last time that that happens. You know what I mean? I'm putting this out on a public forum, and the more and more people it touches, I'm opening myself up to more and more criticism, and that's fine, and that's the world we live in. People feel like big dick energy behind their little keyboards, behind their phones, and if you saw them face to face, they wouldn't say jack shit to you. That's the world we live in, that's the reality. So it's like, on that note, I kinda feel like I'm being prepared a little bit for things to sting, for things to hurt, for people to make fun of me, for people to not understand me, and that's okay. That is just fine. You know what I mean? And it's like going through this where it's someone who's a little bit closer to me and it stings even more. It's like, "Caroline, you're preparing yourself. Like, the universe is preparing you, babe. Like, you're gonna be okay, and you're gonna work through whatever it is you need to work through, and you're also gonna not give people the energy like that." You know? I do think that because it was someone who was a little bit closer to me, I gave it more energy and I gave it more reflection, as opposed to, like, some random ass person that just wanted to be, like, someone, which no one has, like, to be fair. I've only had critiques like that from people that are close to me because I feel like they feel comfortable enough just to, like, say whatever. But, if it does happen that, like, random people have things to say, I don't really think I would take that as, like, that's like water off a duck's back to me. I'm just whatever. Like, you have no idea who I am. Like, it's all good. But for, someone who's a little bit closer to have opinions like that, it's just like, okay, like, I'll take it. I learned the lesson to not really let it fester like that, but I took it for face value and I was like, okay, I had this deeper emotional reaction to that. Why? You know what I mean? I didn't obsess over it. I didn't, like, constantly overthink it. I just, like, I knew that there was something there that didn't sit in. And yesterday and today specifically, I was like, "Oh, that's what it is." It's like my own limiting beliefs, like, kinda being reflected back to me. because I have a lot of limiting beliefs about this podcast, like about what I'm doing. And to have someone like make fun of me and, to say something, send me a message like that, it's like it kind of gave my own limiting belief more energy, and it gave it more power over me because I let someone else's opinions of me like add into my own limiting beliefs. So it's like we really have to be aware of like our weak spots and our limiting beliefs because we all have them, but we're all very capable of moving through them, of challenging them, of turning them around. Like we are all very, very, very capable of that. And like me continuing to do this podcast is like it's just so much deeper than a podcast for me. It's like this has just turned into such a healing journey for me and such a self-empowerment, self-worth, um, just a much deeper thing than me just like getting on here and sharing information with people. Like it has just shown me so much about my own self and like how much power I have, how much resilience I have, how much determination I have. Um, how much I trust in something higher than myself. And like, this is also a point I want to make about limiting beliefs because when that situation occurred to me, I kind of got like in my feels about it. And then also, I don't know, I don't remember what I heard or what I saw, but immediately it came to my mind that like zoom out, like the word zoom out came to my mind. And I immediately pictured myself like out in the galaxy. I'm looking down at like this massive galaxy. We're on a planet. Like when you zoom out like that, you guys know what I'm saying. It's like you don't give people's opinions like the amount of energy that they're trying to give it, especially negativity. It's just like, what is the point? Like, just because people don't agree with like what you're doing or they think it's weird or they think you're a weirdo or like what you're saying is like fucking out of bounds, like that is so left. Like, what are you talking about? You're weird. Like, for me, it doesn't matter. Like, I zoom all the way out and I'm just like, I'm literally here. It's a fucking miracle. I'm like this little ass human on a planet born exactly when I wasn't born in the 70s. I was born right now. Like I was born, this is like my life. Like when you think about it that way, it's like all these teeny tiny little things. Like this is like what faith is. Like this is like what trusting in a higher source is because like none of it should make sense. Like we shouldn't be here. Like what the fuck? Like it's weird. It's weird that we're here. It's weird that we're all humans here. It's fucking weird. You know what I mean? It's like a miracle. So it's like when you zoom the fuck out and you don't give anybody's little petty ass comments the energy, like think about it that way. It's just like, okay, like so what? You don't fucking agree? Like who cares? Like I know what feels good to me. I know I'm meant to be here. I know that my existence is here for a reason. And just because one person doesn't understand it or what I'm doing or what I feel pulled to do or what my heart says is the right thing to do, well, whatever. It's like when you really put things into perspective, it's like, oh, fuck off. Like, who cares about your little ass comment, And so, kind of easier said than done, you know what I mean? Especially when it's someone that's close to you. But it just was like food for thought for me. I was just like, yeah, like what? Like, I'm really going to let someone's little ass petty comment like take me all the way there? Like, what? I'm going to let someone's one little comment stop me from doing a podcast? Like, that's me. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the other person. That's me at that point. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's when I go, oh, these are my limiting beliefs and they're being fed on. And it's my responsibility to stop it in its tracks. It's my responsibility to literally be like, you know what? Fuck off. How about that? Because I'm going to continue to be weird and weirder and weirder and say weirder things and do weirder things. And like, whatever the fuck resonates with me is what's going to happen. And it's what's going to come through on this podcast. And like, like it or not, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I know what I'm meant for. And so that's part of that moving through your limiting beliefs. It's like turning these really negative opinions of yourself, stopping it dead in its tracks, stopping the sentence in your brain and being like, no, I am the shit. I am weird and I love it. I love it. I do not care what one other person has to say about my life. I don't care. Period. Because I know my intentions and I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, do you know yours? What was the intention behind sending a shitty ass message? Because that's that karma that's going to come back to you. Like brushing it off me, baby. Thank you. I don't put that negative ass energy out in the world. I'm supportive of all my friends, no matter what they want to do. I will say sometimes I'm like, you sure? But I'm not an asshole. You know what I mean? I say the things that I think are constructive, right? I don't make fun of people to make fun of them because I know how that feels and it's hurtful. You know what I mean? And I'm 33 years old. Like, I just don't have the energy to put that kind of energy out into the world. So, reflecting back, it's like, pay attention. You know what I mean? Like, pay attention to how you talk to yourself. Pay attention to how you move around in the world. Just like what I was saying earlier in the podcast, what Christopher Witecki said, like this week, this Cancer new moon, it's about home. It's always about us, right? All these experiences happen externally to show us something, to reflect something back to us, right? And I can't be mad at my friend. I can't be mad. I'm like, it is what it is. That happened. Do I now look at the relationship a little bit differently? Yeah. Absolutely. Like, are things going to shift in that dynamic? Yeah. Absolutely. But I'm not holding anger. I'm not mad. I'm just like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm at the you can fuck off with that energy. Yeah, you can fuck right off. I'm good. I'm good. But it's also about, like you don't hold that resentment, you don't hold that anger, you don't hold that bitterness. Like the situation happened and I'm grateful that it happened because it showed me where I'm slacking and those limiting beliefs and me letting those negative comments seep into my psyche and like seep into my spirit. And I'm just like, no. No, 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 no. So, like I said, it's like, be grateful for your haters, like, because there's always a lesson in it. And I just feel like this cancerous new moon, it's that idea of like, let's clear out the gunk, like, let's get your home together because you gotta live with yourself. And it's not pleasant to live with yourself when you have all these limiting beliefs swirling around in your head all the time. And, on that note, like, I just want to say, because I don't want to drawn on about like limiting beliefs, because we all know, like, you can Google it in 2.5 and like find the definition. It's basically like you're talking shit about yourself, creating all these opinions in your mind, and just like being so negative and down about yourself about things that probably aren't even true, but you're like forcing them to be true in your mind, or someone else has kind of made you believe these things, right? So I want to say, like, getting through that, journaling is really big. Getting in touch with your feelings and like how something made you feel, like this scenario that happened, it took me a couple days to like, how do I feel about this? Like, wait, like what? You know what I'm saying? Like, it took me a couple days to like figure that out. And like, that's okay. And then I started to kind of journal about it. And I didn't understand that it was a limiting belief, right? I didn't understand that at the time. But me allowing myself to go through that process of like letting myself feel upset and like letting myself feel and like not shutting myself down, like, you're ridiculous, like that person's a friend, like of course they didn't mean X, Y, and Z. Like, no, I took it for face value and I took it for how it came into my system, how it came into my body. And it came in like that was like an asshole comment. And like that was meant to like make fun of me. You know what I mean? Like, so I let it come in the way that it needed to. I worked through it. And then on the other side of it, like asking my spirit guides for like some clarity around the situation, it's like then it started to come full circle. You know what I mean? And then I'm pulling the tarot card about it's your own limiting beliefs. And it's like, oh shit, it is. And then I sat down. I took a couple hours, which doesn't have to be that long, but for me, I just really wanted to hone in on like, okay, like that situation was brought up for me. What are my limiting beliefs around this podcast? And I made a list, just a simple, clean list of like, I didn't hold back. I didn't say, Caroline, stop it. Like, you're just being, no, I literally went ham. I was just like, said all the things that I feel about doing this podcast and like putting myself out there and like all the things. And then I went through each one and I turned it into a positive, every single one, right across on the same sheet of paper. And when you look at it that way, it really does. Like, I felt like I cleared out the cobwebs out of my mind. And I felt like I didn't like make myself, I wasn't like, God, see how ridiculous you are. Like, I didn't do any of that because it's very much human nature. And we all have limiting beliefs and we all go through it. And like some days are worse than others. Some days we feel on top of the world and some days we feel like, what the is going on? Who am I? What is happening? And when you feel like that, it's just connecting in with it and being aware of it and then paying attention. And it's truly like very simple of like turning the negatives into positives. Positive psychology, like I add in, my spiritual side and I trust in a higher faith and I trust in, God, source, energy, whatever. I trust in something bigger than myself and I ask for help. And so I have that extra nugget as well. Like, not everybody has to do that. Like, you can truly get through limiting beliefs just with positive psychology, just with like being self aware, understanding that like something's coming in, it's hitting a nerve. What the hell is that? Sorting through it a little bit and then paying attention to the negativity. Like, are you being hard on yourself? Like, are you making up a story in your mind that's not there? Like, you know what I mean? Are you saying these terrible things to yourself that aren't even true? You know what I mean? It's like also just ask yourself that. Like, go through all the negatives that you wrote down and then say, is this true? Yes or no? Because 99% of it is no. It's not factual. It's not based in anything. Like, it's your mind fucking with you. That's what I'm saying. Like, I love my brain, but I'm also like, she can be a bitch. Like, she can really go there with, you know, your mind can really, 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 really get you down and it can really go there. So the less I'm out of my mind, the happier I am. And that's just me. Yes, there is a balance. Yes. But on a day to day basis, the more that I'm out of my mind, the safer I feel. Truly. And I do feel like these past couple weeks I've been very much in my mind and I've been feeling very much like an older version of myself. But like fast forward to this and like working through that little like blip, you know what I mean? And like understanding the Cancer new moon and the energy surrounding that and asking my spirit guides and journaling and also being using my brain and being analytical and meshing it all together. It's like, okay, I'm good. Like I can use all these tools. I can use them in balance. I feel when I'm out of balance. I feel like what I feel when I'm in balance. And that's how life's going to roll out for the rest of my life. Like it's just the human experience. And I just feel so good about where I am. And I want my listeners to feel that way. And I want you guys to understand that you can get there too. Like you can really, truly smash those limiting beliefs. You know what I mean? Like understand the connection between your heart and your mind, however you choose to do that. Like if you just put your energy there and your focus there, you will get there. You know what I mean? The lessons will come and you'll learn. Sometimes they'll be hard lessons, sometimes they'll be easy lessons, but like you can get there and you can have this beautiful balanced life that's not perfect. But when it's not perfect, you don't get it's less time that's spent on that. Does that make sense? Like it's less time. Every time the more healed you become, it's just less energy that you put on those down days. You have a down day, okay, next day you're better. Like it's just about finding what works for you. Like for me, like I said, it's like astrology. I use my tarot, I use my oracle cards, I tap in, I meditate. I literally my spirit guides are like my fucking BFFs. They know me so well. And that's just such an important relationship to me. And I also trust myself and I trust my intuition and I trust my connection between my heart and my body. And so everyone can get there. And I feel like I want to end this episode on that. I feel like this is a short, sweet one. I do Zoom recording, so I don't know like how long these episodes are, you guys, until I'm done, till I'm done running my mouth. But I hope this was helpful because this week was like really a doozy for me. But I do feel like I came out the other side a lot stronger and a lot, I don't know. I feel like I'm prepared. I really do. I feel like I'm getting prepared. I feel like I'm getting these lessons because I need to be prepared. And that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm bumping into these things because there's a reason. You know what I mean? And so hopefully, hopefully, I'm doing all the right things. I do feel like I am, and I feel much better. And, you know, we're gonna get there. Physically, I feel better. I guess I'll give you a little update. I didn't really have much. I am gonna do acupuncture. I think I told you guys that because about that weird chest pain that I had. I did get my lab work back, you guys, and everything was perfectly fine. Even my hormones for having polycystic ovarian syndrome, my hormones are like perfect. But my vitamin D is low and my LDL. So you have total cholesterol, you have HDL, and you have LDL. LDL is like the bad, bad cholesterol. My total cholesterol is within normal range. My HDL is fine. It's where it should be, but my LDLs are a little high. So I was like, oh, what does that mean? I don't know if it's genetic. Um, because my brother has high cholesterol at like a very young age. Uh, and my mom's always had high cholesterol, but not until, oh, my hummy, 2 hummies. Okay. Not until my dad, I think, has high cholesterol now, but he's in his 60s and he eats like shit. And then my mom also, like, so I don't know if there's like a little genetic component to that because I eat very healthily and the amount of butter and like milk that I do eat, I wouldn't think it would raise my LDL like that because I just eat like one piece of sourdough a day with like butter on it and I put milk in my coffee. I'm not a big cheese eater. You know, a lot of dairy products are high in saturated fat. I do eat a lot of like coconut milk. I make chia seed pudding and things like that. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. But it did kind of make me a little nervous because I was like, okay, I'm having chest pain and then my LDLs are high. The LDLs are what cause you to have stroke, heart attack. Like it's like this sticky stuff that sticks to your arteries and clogs your arteries. So little concerning. But anyways, I feel okay. I feel fine. I know I'm going to get that under control. And just shout out to, primary care providers. Like you guys go get your labs done. Go get everything drawn. Oh, my light went out. Go get everything drawn and just keep up on your health. I think they say every 5 years, if you're like, I think it's like 20 to in the 50s range to go get like a full panel, like all your panel lab work done. I would say even shorter of a time. Like I would say like every 2 years get it done. Like especially if you're like me and you were having physical symptoms and feeling off, like definitely go get it done. But anyways, just a physical little shout out, for our physical bodies because it's important to keep our physical bodies in good health as well. So anywho, I will keep you guys updated with that. I think it's kind of interesting. I'm sure I'll get a redraw in like a next couple of months. Like I've cut out eggs too. I was eating a lot of eggs. Um, but you guys know I'm egg intolerant now. So I've cut out eggs for the past few weeks. So I'm wondering. Anyways, I'm gonna do the things that I need to do to lower my LDLs. I'm gonna cut out the butter, cut out the milk, cut out all that shit, and then test and see what happens. So, to be determined. So, okay, this is really the end, you guys. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys all for the support and the lovely messages that you sent. It does not go unnoticed. Like, just because I got one negative message, I'm not letting it overtake. Like, you guys send me the most beautiful messages. And like I always say, it just keeps this like really positive, amazing, beautiful, like circular high vibration energy going. And like, I love that. And I want to keep that going. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful week and we'll chat soon. Bye, guys.